And the stew's in the cradle and the silver stew. Little boy stew and the man in the stew.
Season 2 of Twisted Metal takes the bonkers road trip chaos of Season 1 and says, nah, let's actually point the GPS towards something bigger. Twisted Metal Season 2 is already done. Just like that, it's done. And I am truly blown away with how good it is. And it's better than Season 1. And like I was already saying, it's better than Season 2 of The Last of Us. It's because I'm comparing it to that, as so far it was kind of the standard for adaptations and it kind of fell a little flat the most recent season that came out early this year. And so I would say I think this is better than Season 2 of that. I don't think it'll be better than Season 2 of Fallout, which comes out in December. This is my full review of the entire season. But before we get into that, don't forget to take a minute to like and subscribe. It goes a long way and it really helps a brother out. Now let's put the clutch into gear, get into it.
Time to settle this, Grim. Once and for all.
The plot centers on Calypso's tournament, aka the franchise's bread and butter. The show widely leans into that video game lore. Unlike Season 1's fetch quest with extra explosions, Season 2 feels like the world is actually coalescing into the insane, nihilistic carnival that Twisted Metal is supposed to be. Calypso himself finally shows up looking like the devil's favorite Vegas clown act. If you ever wondered what would happen if a monkey's paw came with nitrous oxide. So finally we get a look at Anthony Carrigan as Calypso. I loved him as an actor and he was great in this, and his development as a character where he basically went full on supervillain by the end of the show. Rather dramatic and interesting. And the overall story itself had way more heart. Every character was given their own full story, even if it was just quite short. Grim, I always use that example because he had the shortest moment for you to be able to relate to him as a character, as he found some of his humanity near the end, as his name is Grim because he's essentially the Grim Reaper. And even with Sweet Tooth, who's a complete sociopath and a psychotic murderer, but Samoa Joe plays him so well, Will Arnett does the voice so well, and it works together so perfectly. Even though I still think the mask muffling sounds a little bit too off, like it's not actually there.
You're sterile.
Oh, well that explains the weird rash.
Assuming that on set, Samoa Joe just says the lines, so the way his jaw moves under the mask matches what's being said. Overall, be careful what you wish for. The show goes full in on Calypso's whole shtick. Granting wishes will backfire in a hilariously cruel way. It's like Twilight Zone, but with more road rage and Molotov cocktails. Also a running undercurrent of, does freedom actually mean in a world where gasoline is currency and clowns are somehow still employed? The show pokes fun at how every character's dream, whether it's John getting his sister back, Quiet's quest for vengeance with shutting down all the walls, or Sweet Tooth's desire for an endless audience to watch his murdering, all comes with a cost. But don't worry, it never gets too deep. Right after somber reflection on mortality, someone usually set on fire or run over by an ice cream truck.
Guess you gotta do this the old-fashioned way.
Anthony Mackie is still the lovable delivery boy of doom, but now with bigger stakes and more scars. Emotional and car-shaped, his aw shucks let's not die today energy balances nicer with the sheer madness around him. Though I felt that John Doe was less of a smartass as he was last season. Last season they set him up to be way more of a smartass, almost in a Deadpoolish type style, which would actually make sense as the writers of the Deadpool movies, Rhett Reese and Brett Warner, or whatever the other guy's name is, used similar kind of writing, and John Doe was a lot more of a smartass and made a lot of jokes and whatnot last season.
Wow, cool story.
This season he didn't really do that as much. He was way more serious. The situations were a lot more serious, and his relationship with Quiet grew. She graduates from angry loner with great eyeliner to apocalypse MVP. Her storylines are sharper, her kills are cooler, and her banter with John feels less forced and more like two people who survived a karaoke night hosted by Sweet Tooth. Speaking of, this breakout psycho clown continues to steal the show. If season 1 was his audition tape, season 2 is his headlining Vegas residency. He's terrifying, hilarious, and somehow the most relatable character when he's whining about people not appreciating his art, aka murder.
But everyone will know my name.
Calypso's devilishly new arrival, finally bringing the actual tournament into play. He oozes charisma and menace in equal measure. Imagine Willy Wonka, but instead of the chocolate rivers, there's just blood. Our first new character was Mayhem, who was played very well. We have Axel, a guy strapped between two giant wheels, and it's both glorious and deeply uncomfortable to watch. Imagine CrossFit gone too far, and you get the general idea. The show leans into the absurdity and somehow still ends up looking like one of the most intimidating drivers. He's living proof that the body can in fact be used as a suspension. He used to be a hitman, found a baby once, killed everybody in the house, but took the baby to raise him himself. Then the baby ends up actually getting taken by raiders. Then years later he realizes that it's actually Mayhem who was the girl that he saved. Unfortunately, they didn't really have much time for a reunion. Axel ended up sacrificing himself to save John, Quiet, Mayhem. That's her idea of conflict resolution. She exists to raise the stakes and raise hell between John and specifically Quiet, who feels a kinship with her after losing her own brother, so now she feels like Mayhem is her little sister and suddenly has the instinct to protect her.
And fuck you, you weirdo. I just want to get out of here.
You are delightful.
While John is worrying about survival and quietly processing her trauma, Mayhem is in the background screaming, "Let's go, baby," as she rams cars off cliffs. If the show were a rock band, Mayhem would be the drummer, the loudest, sweatiest, least stable member who might explode on the stage at any moment. And Stu reunite. Stu actually thought that Mike was dead, and then Mike actually thought Stu had betrayed him by taking sides with Sweet Tooth, but eventually their issues are worked out and they become best friends again. It just unfortunately finally happens right before an awful thing happens.
Oh wait, Mike's dead.
Hashtag Mike dies. But the biggest surprise of all the actual characters was Stu. Stu ended up being one of the most interesting characters and had the most dramatic story arc out of everyone in the show, really. There was a point where later in the season, his story arc almost felt like it was taking over between John and Quiet, as they were just kind of falling to the background for a little bit. But Stu's overall journey was way more interesting. He felt like just a total throwaway character in season 1. Then suddenly in season 2, he starts off as Sweet Tooth. He starts off being as Sweet Tooth Padawan, if I may. He starts being quote unquote trained to be a Sweet Tooth, taking him under his wing, and Stu gets more brazen and he actually starts killing people in cold blood. He changes his mind about living like that.
Gotta keep your eye on the head.
They're essentially in an abusive relationship where Stu is being abused by Sweet Tooth. Not physically, but like mentally, he's just kind of awful towards him. And Mike can see this and he's kind of concerned, but still in the background. But eventually Stu stands up to Sweet Tooth, and Stu just has this kind of incredible arc where he, near the very end, he becomes full circle and he's kind of this hunter warrior guy. He does lose Mike very brutally. Quiet and John actually took Mike out in a rather brutal way, and then there's this surprisingly emotional moment. Stu's entire journey is way more interesting than almost everyone else's on the show. His is the most dramatic and the most satisfying near the end. He's still a little of a bumbling fool, but he's definitely become way more confident and competent behind guns and sniper rifles. Season 1 gave us Mad Max on a budget, but Season 2 says, what if he spent that budget on rocket launchers strapped to monster trucks? Quiet's shootouts are tighter and bloodier. The shootouts are tighter and bloodier. John Doe still drives like a man who's 50-50 on whether seatbelts exist, and the tournament finale, a chaotic demolition derby that feels like the game come to life. There are explosions, flaming wrecks, and at least 3 moments where you'll yell, "That's illegal" in traffic school. Just having Axel, the fan favorite dude, literally strapped between 2 cars is good enough for a lot of players, with his jaw-dropping reveal that makes you wonder how he hasn't dislocated every bone in his body. Calypso's wish-twisting scenes reference classic endings from the games, including one involving a wish for beauty that, let's say, it just doesn't go well. And yet I'm still left with the question of, does Calypso have actual magic powers? In the games, it seems like he does. it was done in a way where I kept thinking that, okay, that couldn't be actually fully practical, and he's using smoke and mirrors on these people to think he has magic. As there's one or two scenes where we see from one angle, Calypso is doing something kind of magically and you can see a white glow or a glow of energy, but then we see that same scene from a different angle and we see nothing. And it was confusing me because, okay, does Calypso actually have magic, or is he just insane or something and thinks he has magic? That still left me rather confused by the end of the show. These recent adaptations are doing so well is because they dig into a lot more of the lore of the games, and they don't just take the IP and come up with their own idea and then they use it either directly or indirectly, like Fallout, where they use the information but didn't use an exact story. And here at Twisted Metal, they do kind of the same thing where they use a lot of the backstory to create a new overall story, as in with John Doe. In the games, John Doe first appeared in Twisted Metal Black as an amnesiac who wakes up in a car with no memory of who he is. He was dark, broody, and full of mystery, ending with him learning he was an undercover FBI agent who got way in over his head. In the show, Anthony Mackie's John Doe is the UPS driver for the Apocalypse with charisma, sarcasm, and more heart. He's less tragic noir detective and more guy who's just trying to make it to Taco Bell. The show keeps the amnesia backstory but sprinkles in optimism for the games with full goth.
I'm not a criminal. I'm a milkman on a delivery.
Quiet, on the other hand, doesn't exist. In the show, she's an original character.
Don't sugarcoat it, hit me straight. I can take it.
Sweet Tooth in the games is the franchise mascot from day one. He's a psychotic clown with a flaming head driving an ice cream truck. His backstory varies, but usually involves serial killing, an abusive father, and a deal with Calypso. Never ends well. He's terrifying, larger than life, and pure nightmare. In the show, Samoa Joe expertly provides the muscle, Will Arnett provides the voice, and together they deliver a Sweet Tooth that's both horrifying and hysterical. The show leans into his entertainer side, turning him into a wannabe showman who treats murder like performance art. In the games, Calypso is the big bad host of the Twisted Metal tournament. He grants the winner one wish, but always twists it like a monkey paw.
Come on, pal, I don't want to hear your life story. Paw me!
Season 2 finally brings him in, and he's exactly what you'd expect. Slimy, sarcastic, devil adjacent, and clearly running on pure chaos energy. The wishes are here too, twisted endings and all.
No, I'm glad you didn't drive for me. You suck at this.
Hey, Raven. Get fucked.
In the games, Raven first appeared in Twisted Metal Black. She's a goth girl with a tragic backstory involving bullies and a pet crow. Very Tim Burton vibes. Her wish usually centers on revenge. Played by two different characters in Season 1 and Season 2, Raven becomes more of a mysterious power player who manipulates behind the scenes. She's less hot topic and more mysterious CEO of the Apocalypse. In the games, Axel is one of the most absurd but beloved characters, a man literally strapped between two giant wheels. His wish usually revolves around breaking free of his literal bondage. Iconic, weird, and completely impractical. In the show, Season 2 introduces him in gloriously, ridiculously live action, and somehow it still works. They lean into the absurdity while making him intimidating. His proof that you can staple a man to rims and still call it character.
Yeah, why? I guess I'm on me.
Mayhem is not part of the original lineup, though there are car names that echo her vibe. She is in a way a new character based on a name that's in the game. So in the show, she's a new addition for Season 2. Mayhem is pure destruction personified. She's less character and more an explosion with arms. What is the final verdict on Twisted Metal Season 2? Well, it's like getting hit in the face with the flaming ice cream cone. While Sweet Tooth laughs and Anthony Mackie tries to give you life advice, it's messy, ridiculous, and often louder than it needs to be, but that's exactly why it works. The show finally leans into the Twisted Metal series' true identity, a violent cartoon for adults where wishes come true all the worst possible ways. Cars explode with the consistency of popcorn or microwave, and somehow, against all odds, you actually start caring about people who solve their problems exclusively with high-speed vehicular homicide. Season 2 just doesn't raise the stakes, it straps the stakes to a rocket, sets them on fire, and launches them through a billboard that says, "Welcome to Calypso's tournament." Bottom line, if you came here for realism, clearly taking a wrong exit. But if you wanted big dumb fun with just enough emotional depth to make you cry before you laugh at a clown setting his own head on fire, then congratulations, you're home.
It's just hands and toesies now.
Final rating for the entire of season 2 for Twisted Metal, 8.5. This is a pretty awesome season and great all the way through, and you can't really complain about it. Twisted Metal season 2 proves that sometimes the road to hell really is paved with good intentions and occasionally a blood-slicked ice cream truck. It was pretty surprising as how good this show was overall, how well developed all the characters were, how emotional it was, but also funny and dramatic, dark, and it just went all over, and I was just continually surprised with how Twisted Metal Season 2 turned out. In a few more months, Fallout Season 2 is coming out in December 17th. I believe it will dethrone Twisted Metal 2. Pretty confident it will, but right now, I'm putting Twisted Metal Season 2 above The Last of Us Season 2.
I'm gonna be a dad.
But that is a few months away, and if you are not watching Twisted Metal Season 2 or 1 yet, then you need to get on that and check it out. It's a really great show. It's just funny. It's got a lot of heart. It's violent. You're really going to like it. I haven't really watched a whole lot of new shows this year, so I guess I would call it my favorite show of the year so far. But we will see in December. Until all of that, my friend, please don't forget to take a moment to subscribe and also take a moment to comment below on your final thoughts on Season 2 as a whole of Twisted Metal 2, if you liked it, if you hated it, if you loved it, if you despised it. I would love to hear your thoughts, your hypotheses for the next season, and where could they go with Season 3, pick up immediately where it left off, or skip a couple years ahead. Who knows? I would love to hear your theories in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and don't forget to keep gaming with your foot all the way in on the gas.
I also love that mask. It's really cheery. It's like I'm looking at a dental ad.